Hello, my name is Evan, and welcome to Economics 101, your number one source for everything economics. Today we're going to be talking about what people get right about immigration and what people get wrong about immigration. Immigration is, of course, one of the most debated topics in the world, going currently in the world. And up until about a month ago, it was our primary focus here in the U.S., but war seems to have kind of taken over that number one spot. So some people say immigration is great for the economy. Others say it's hurting our job market as well as our public services. But here's the problem with most immigration debates. Both sides often oversimplify the economics. Some arguments ignore the benefits and other arguments ignore the challenges. So in today's video, we're going to kind of look at both sides of the economic reality. We're going to try to cover 2 to 3 things that people get wrong about immigration, as well as a couple of things that people actually get right when it comes to immigration. And by the end of the video, I want my viewers to be able to understand why immigration is not just a simple good or bad issue. It's more complex than that. It's a complex economic system with multiple forces happening at the same time. But before we get into the video, please like, share, and subscribe. And to start off with, we're going to start off with in my opinion, one of the most biggest misconceptions surrounding immigration. Okay, so I think one of the biggest misunderstandings, misconception about immigration is that immigration takes all the jobs. Okay. You hear a lot of people say immigration is taking jobs away from citizens. At first glance, I know that sounds logical, but if more workers enter the labor market, this is how you gotta look at it. If more workers enter the labor market, it seems like there'll be fewer jobs available for everyone else. But this argument doesn't always work like that. The argument assumes that number of jobs in an economy is fixed, that we have a fixed set of jobs in the economy. But economics doesn't necessarily, that's not how economics works, okay? Jobs are created based on demand. When immigrants arrive in a country, they don't just become workers. They also become consumers, right? Okay? They rent homes. They use transportation. They buy groceries. They eat at restaurants. So, and when you have demand, increasing, businesses expand, businesses grow, they hire workers, they a lot of times open more locations, more stores, more restaurants get open, they produce more goods, produce more services. So immigration doesn't, so immigrants don't just compete for jobs, they also help create new jobs by increasing demand. Okay, so that's one of the biggest misconceptions right there, and that's why you see economic studies. They found that immigration has little long-term effect on overall unemployment. Now, please don't misunderstand what I'm trying to say. That doesn't mean immigration has no impact on jobs at all. And that kind of brings me to my next point. Something people actually do get right when it comes to immigration is that immigration can increase job competition. Okay? So immigration definitely can increase job competition. While immigrants don't usually cause widespread unemployment, people are correct about one thing. Immigration can increase competition in certain job markets. When more workers enter industries that require similar skills, the supply of labor increases. And when labor supply increases, wages in those specific sectors may grow more slowly, okay? Think about it like this, all right? If a large number of workers enter construction, let's say agriculture, service job, those workers may compete with workers that are already there, okay? This doesn't mean immigrants are stealing those jobs. But it does mean some workers can face more competition, all right, in the short term, in the short run, right? All right? So it's not that they are stealing our jobs, it's not that they're going to take the jobs, but when they enter the market, they're going to compete for it. And a lot of times, they come out on top, all right? So, all right, so moving along to the third point. Another thing most people get wrong about immigrants is immigrants only take from the economy, okay? That's not true. Another common misconception is that immigrants mostly take resources from our economy, but economically, immigrants do much more than work and consume. Many immigrants also start businesses. In fact, many immigrants are more likely to become entrepreneurs than your native-born citizens. And when someone starts a business, they create jobs. Restaurants, if you open up a restaurant, you need employees. You're going to hire employees. Construction company. If I open up a construction company, I need workers. If I got a tech startup, I'm going to hire some engineers. Immigration also increases something economists call human capital. People bring different skills, education, and ideas, okay? Some immigrants are scientists. Some are doctors. Some are entrepreneurs, like we just said, but some are engineers. And when you combine different skills and experiences in one economy, when you combine different skills and experiences in an economy, innovation often increases, right? So this is one reason immigration is often associated with economic growth and innovation. When you have new people coming in, opening business, creating economic growth, innovating. But even here, there's another point that often a point where people often get right, and that's population growth creates real pressure in our economy. Okay, that's going to bring us to our next point. So another argument people make about immigration is that it puts pressure on things like housing and infrastructure. Okay, and economically, that can absolutely happen. When population grows quickly, demand increases for things. Things like your housing, like your schools, like your transportation, things like healthcare, things like public services, social services, those kind of things, it definitely creates a demand for. If housing supply, think about it like this, if housing supply or infrastructure doesn't expand fast enough, shortages can occur, right? When you have shortage, housing prices can go up. Public systems can become crowded, okay? But it's important to understand something. These pressures aren't caused just solely by immigration alone. They're caused by population growth outpacing infrastructure and development. The same thing happens when your natural population grows in just say the city that you're from. Immigration just accelerates the timeline on it, okay? And all of this leads to my biggest point yet. Immigration, this is how we gotta think about it. Immigration is about trade-offs, all right? The real economic debate about immigration isn't whether it's good or bad. I want people to really kind of stop using it, is immigration good or immigration bad? Immigration is about a trade-off. It's about, can immigration increase economic growth? Can it expand our labor force? So think of it in a trade-off way rather than good or bad, because you're going to have some good and some bad with it. Can immigration encourage innovation? Can it create new businesses? But immigration also can increase competition in certain industries, put pressure on housing market. Immigration can require governments to expand infrastructure faster. So immigration creates both benefits and challenges at the same time, right? And the role of policy is to manage those trade-offs, to be able to kind of handle or control the good or the bad, or the trade-off. Countries must decide, they got to think about it like, countries also have to think about it like this. How many immigrants should enter each year? What skills are most needed in our labor market? How quickly can our housing and our infrastructure expand? There isn't a single answer for that. We don't have a universal answer for that. Different countries make different choices based on their economic goals. So that's just a little bit about the rights and wrong that people typically either get right or wrong about immigration. In conclusion, to wrap it all up, immigration is neither a miracle solution nor an economic disaster. It's a complex system with real benefits, real challenges. The real question isn't whether immigration is good or bad. The real question that everybody has to ask is, how do we design policies that maximize the benefits while minimizing the downside? All right, how do we create something that's gonna give us a trade-off? Because that's what economics is about. That's the real economic conversation. That's when the real economic conversation begins, is when we figure out the policy that is going to maximize our trade-off. Okay? If you made it all the way to the end, thank you. Please subscribe and hit the like button. And if you'd like to know more about immigration, please continue to watch future videos. I will have future videos on immigration and just everything surrounding economics. So thank you. Please like, share, and subscribe. Thank you, and until next time. See you later.